What? Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome. Yo, welcome back and welcome in Best Ball Breakdown. It is time to get back into these best ball streets, and we are excited to be back streaming this season. Welcome into the Fantasy Points channel. I am Graham. That's Ryan Heath, who will be joining me every single week for the Underdog Best Ball Breakdown show. We're going to be just ripping drafts, talking ball, talking ADP, hopefully drafting some winning teams that, Ryan, make us millions and millions of dollars. Let's do it, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, man. Very excited to get into the drafts with you. Yeah, I'm just getting that best ball summer feeling. Let's do it.
Yeah, I know it's a good feeling. I've been playing in the lower stakes so far, just trying to get my feet wet, get some volume in, just kind of see where the values are. As always, we've been working behind the scenes. Chris Wecht has laid down the foundation with his projections. We're working daily on best ball rankings with him. Those are now up on the site. Last week they went up. You can download the CSV, upload it to your Underdog applet, and get drafting today. Ryan, we'll get drafting here in just a minute. Guys, if there's any questions, comments, anything you guys are seeing in drafts, please leave a comment in the chat. I'd love to talk to you guys after a long off season of not drafting. I've just been itching. I've been itching, Ryan. I'm telling you, I've been looking forward to this. We'll get started here. I think we're going to do a BBM today. Let's do the 30-second timer. We'll do a 30-second timer to give us a little bit extra time. And yeah, man, we'll let's see if we can cross our fingers and get a 101 to start. If you guys want to hang out and draft with us, we were waiting for 10 people. Anybody in the chat on YouTube, anybody watching us on Twitter, hanging out with us in Discord, come in and draft with us. We'll try not to give our picks away as we get to it. Ryan, yeah, I see you, best ball on call. Yeah, Rashee's climbing to the 2-3 turn, and that's kind of a good place to start is these Chiefs receivers. I was talking to Chris a couple weeks ago, and I was like, bro, I think maybe the first place we need to talk through it, like the first couple rounds, is those Chiefs receivers, because it really does feel like right now it's an inflection point. It's a big decision point. Where have you kind of come down on the Rice versus Worthy thing right now?
Yeah, so right now, not really concerned about like the suspension or injury stuff with Rice. So just like throwing that kind of out of it. I prefer Rice. I've been a Rice guy kind of for the last year and a half. Yeah, he just what we've seen from him when he's on the field has been a lot better than Worthy, just in every possible efficiency stat. So yeah, I really like Rice. I think he's the favorite for kind of the design target role. They are both a little bit pricier than I would like right now, to be honest. But yeah, it's one of those players where you have to be like, oh, I don't love the cost, but like I need to kind of have some exposure here probably just to be responsible. It's similarly to how I feel about like Tyreek Hill, for example.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. If you're doing any sort of volume, obviously, and I think a lot of our listeners are, like, you definitely don't want to be going into the season with no Worthy. There's also there's an outcome here where I'm with you for what it's worth. I think Rasheed is the better receiver. That being said, at the end of the day, I mean, Worthy still, really came on to close out last season. The target share came up. Deep targets looked great. At the end of the day, I think both are fine picks at ADP, but I think there is a world where we live in where Worthy is significantly better than he was at this point, obviously last year. I'm kind of with you, though. I don't think you put the juice back in the bottle with the Rasheed offense. It's one of those things where, like, he was just so good on these like short, low ADOT targets. He's also you started to see it before he, got hurt. The deeper stuff started coming in, kind of running some more of those intermediate routes. I think Rice probably has more ceiling, but yeah, there's a world we live in where Worthy outscores him. You mentioned Tyreek. I think Miami is really interesting as well. Like, Tyreek is now a 3rd round pick. in Underdog. So if this is your first journey back into the Underdog streets, you're going to see Tyreek in the third round. And, the speed kind of fell off last season. Obviously, the offense was a complete nightmare, though, Ryan. Like, they didn't have you've been saying this for a while. They didn't have an offensive line. So when you don't have an offensive line, what happens is you just kind of rely on short area targets. That's kind of what happened last year. What do you see different? Because the way I've been thinking of it is like they have an offensive line now. They're going to be able to protect Tua a little bit longer. That's going to help both receivers, but I think it's going to help Waddle too.
Yeah, agreed. So still definitely nowhere near like a top offensive line in the league or anything. But if it's anywhere close to NFL level this year, then that's going to be great for Tyreek, great for Waddle, who I agree is also very affordably and interestingly priced. And also Tua has just kind of been left for dead. Like I understand he's more of a risk to miss games than your average quarterback, but yeah, you can get him way down there too. So yeah, I've been liking Dolphin stacks kind of anytime the community like sours on a coach or an offense over an offseason, especially if a lot of it had to do with injuries, which are just kind of very random. It's hard to predict those. Like I just this time last year, we were talking about McDaniel is like, oh, he's the boy genius. He's one of the best play designers in the NFL. And after a year of them not having an offensive line and Tua getting hurt for half the year, it's like, oh, McDaniel sucks. Like all he's doing is throwing screens to Jonnu Smith. What is he doing? Why isn't this a real offense anymore? And it's like, I don't know, just think back to what you thought about the Dolphins in this offense a year ago. Nothing has really changed that much aside from they had a bad run of injuries last year. So yeah, I'm pretty much down with all of their ADPs. I can't think of a Dolphin that I'm not drafting right now.
Yeah, Tyreek, man, like I can understand the argument against him in redraft just because he can be pretty volatile. The targets were more spread out last season. That being said, though, I mean, in the third round of best ball drafts, I'm with you. It kind of feels like an Occam's razor, like just he's way too cheap. Ryan, all right, we couldn't get a BBM to fill. They were both stuck at 9. I just entered us into a puppy. So we're going to rip a $5 puppy here. We got the second pick, so lucky us. Ja'Marr Chase, 101. We're going to take Saquon Barkley. He is the 1-1 in our rankings. Obviously, if you were getting the 1-1 and following our rankings, please take a ton of Ja'Marr Chase, but this is how we are projecting it. Ryan, I mean, I don't know. It feels like we're splitting hairs at the top. It really does feel like two blue chips, Saquon versus Chase. Settle with Saquon. So we're going to be ripping some receivers from here. Have you done many drafts when you're getting the 101, 102? And if so, how are you handling it? Which receivers are you liking on the comeback? How are you liking these builds?
Yeah, I think I've ended up with one or two drafts inside the top 3 picks. So I'm always having horrible spot luck. That's nothing new for me. But yeah, on the few occasions I have been surprisingly like pro wide receiver in round 1, just because kind of the fall off at wide receiver is just right at the end of round 2, pretty much. It's pretty rare that I'm getting 2 wide receivers like at the turn that I'm very excited about. Mm-hmm. Once we get into like the Jackson Smith and Jigba kind of tier of guys, or the Marvin Harrisons, the Garrett Wilsons, even, and the Tyreek Hills, we were just talking about. You want some of them, but like I have my reservations, obviously. Yeah, it just gets a little bit rough for me. Like Lad rarely makes it to the turn. T, I'm always happy to click, but yeah, that's kind of like the first tier at receiver for me. So like my favorite drafts have been being in the middle or towards the back and just double tapping receiver so far. I don't know. Easy to make fun of the best ball tout. Yeah, we get it. You'd like drafting wide receivers, but that's just how the board's lining up for me this year.
Yeah, the Jacobs, Brown, Kyron decision when you're drafting Chase first definitely feels a little more comfortable than pretty much, I mean, one big solid tier. In terms of the ranks and projections, like after T, obviously Lad's already gone. Like we've got a very, very long tier of very similarly, ranked players. But, at this time of year, especially with this puppy's going to fill probably in about a week. We can get a little bit weird. If you want to here, we're definitely going to be taking some receivers. I think T makes a lot of sense to kind of go against the Chase drafter. Obviously projects really well. In terms of projections, I want to talk to you about these Rams guys here once we get after this turn, because I do like Devontae Adams quite a bit here. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just a big open tier after this. Very, very similar in terms of projection. We'll talk Marvin Harrison here too. We gotta talk through Marv Harrison after his rookie season. All right, so he goes A-Chan. Are you good with T here?
Good with T here. And yeah, on the comeback,
Yeah, let's take a second. We got
love a McBride probably would be my ideal here.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just you don't want to click another running back, and yeah, that tier. I just prefer to avoid that tier of receivers if I'm at the turn. Honestly, like I end up not really liking it either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just kind of hammer receiver for the next 4 or 5 rounds and pretend like it's okay, pretty much. Oh, but we won't get the chance to do that. So McBride's gone. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been clicking Adams for some of these, honestly. Because yeah, this early, who knows what's going to happen with ADP? It's who we have projected far and away the best, so that I'm cool with him.
Yeah, I've been taking a ton of Devontae Adams in this third round here. Man, you look at just his sample with the Jets last year, Ryan, he beat out Garrett Wilson in every metric that mattered. He beat him in targets, he beat him in separation, beat him by ass, beat him in efficiency. Obviously, the touchdowns were there. You look at the man zone splits, I think he beat him in yards per route run in both. Obviously, there was some buddy ball with Aaron Rodgers, but Devontae Adams is extremely, extremely good at football still. And I would argue this is a huge upgrade for him. Adams projects really well. I wanted to talk to you about Marvin Harrison, though, because I'll be honest, we are very, very low on Marv in terms of projection right now. I think a lot of his rookie season was honestly on Kyler, not necessarily on Marv. Kyler had a very, very rough season last year. That being said, I mean, Marv is still being confidently drafted, second round, 2-3 turn. Where are you at on Marv right now?
Yeah, I just think he's too expensive in all formats is kind of where I'm at. Like I think I wrote this either in an article that just came out or will very soon. I totally get it. Just a receiver that's drafted top 5 as high as he was with the prospect profile that we all thought he had, comes in and has like a mediocre rookie season. We wouldn't be that surprised if we turned around at the end of 2025 and we were like, oh yeah, of course that guy had a monster season and finished as like a top 6 receiver when half the community was feeling a little bit rough about him. But I don't know, man. When the alternatives are like a T Higgins or a Devontae Adams, like guys that all they do is score fantasy points, and Marvin Harrison really hasn't done that, hasn't shown really any great peripherals that you would want to see. The yards per route run was really rough. Trey McBride is out commanding him in terms of target share and pretty much every stat. It's just really rough to me. I don't know. Like I agree that, yeah, it's probably on Kyler and some combination of just how they're deploying Harrison on the outside, especially like on a lot of these like outside and deep routes and all of that. But that nothing's really changing that we know of in Arizona, right? It's the same exact quarterback, same exact play caller combination. I don't know why we would project them to kind of fix his usage and like give him all the intermediate and easy button targets that Trey McBride was just getting last year. So yeah, he's someone I've been like pretty cautious on. Yeah. And I'm even more in like dynasty formats. I'm even more so have been like, just sell him for anything, sell him for Travis Hunter type of deal for me all off season.
Yeah, it's Trey McBride is obviously the target earner there. The big concern that I had, last season was actually we're about to be back up on the clock, and that's a great point, Best Ball Call. Yeah, if Trey is right, then is Marv overpriced? Then absolutely, absolutely he is. We're jamming DK Metcalf here, right? Like this is,
yeah.
Metcalf is the clear top pick here, and then we can have a discussion about Kittle maybe. I guess Ridley, he's in play. Ridley's just like one of those unsexy picks right now. We could go. What do you think here, man? We could go Ridley. I'm fine with him. Waddle, Kittle.
Let honestly, let's do Waddle. I've been clicking Ridley, and I think it's more fun to click Waddle. But
Yeah, nice.
that's kind of where I'm at. It gives you, yeah,
Yeah,
gives you
it's
easy Dolphin stacks later if you want. Yeah.
no. I'm with you. And Tua is so cheap. Like in a year where I feel like there's a few quarterbacks that are kind of priced up just due to stacking. We were looking at Michael Penix a couple days ago. He's at 147 up due to stacking. Penix is going ahead of Tua, Stafford, Geno. It's an interesting quarterback market. And as always, keep in mind these ADPs are largely due to stacking. The Chase drafter at 1 wants Joe Burrow. That's why well, this guy didn't. He wanted Jalen Hurts for the Eagles stack, but that's why Burrow's going in the 50s, y'all. It's strictly due to stacking. We could have taken Burrow here with Higgins, but yeah, I'm with you. I like with this team build. We've got an out here with Stafford, Tua, obviously not playing many quarterbacks with Metcalf right now, but just putting a bow on Marvin Harrison. I'm with you, fully with you. He had huge splits last season in terms of the man versus zone stuff, like humongous splits. I think some of that is the Kyler effect. Just Kyler's not been that good, but I fully expected Marv to like shred man coverage last year, get on top. You mentioned the lack of design targets. That's never really been a thing for Marv, even coming out of college, but like we really can't give him like a couple screens near the line of scrimmage just to kind of get the ball in space. Petzig is a really good run game coordinator, but between the staff, I'm kind of with you. I think Marv is overpriced, and Trey McBride just projects incredibly well. So I like that call. If Trey is right, Marv is most likely wrong. All right, we're gonna wrap here into 6th round. Pull this back up. So from here, like you said, I think the stacks are pretty clear for us in the back. We can keep kind of this hero running back build. I kind of like that with Barkley. It's like just playing that we're 100% right. Barkley runs back as the RB1, and we can kind of just stream the RB2 spot. I will say there are a few guys. This is kind of when that RB market, at least in terms of our projections, kind of starts picking back up. Few receivers here dropping now. I know there's one guy you and I are both very high on. We were talking about him the other day. I don't think he's going to get to us. We got 4 receivers.
Yeah, I think we can click an RB2 here. I think it's the best spot in the draft to click an RB2 is kind of in this round 6 range. Ken Walker and Chuba Hubbard just went off the board, but those are easily 2 of my favorite values right now, just per our projections and per kind of all the metrics that I look at. But yeah, I mean, I like Tony Pollard and even like a James Conner kind of just as much. With Pollard, it's really easy. Like most of his efficiency stats were just right back up to where they were before he had like that injury with the Cowboys and had like his kind of inefficient bell cow season before going to the Titans. If you just assume that Cam Ward is like halfway competent, meaning like better than Will Levis, and that the Titans aren't immediately just out of every game, then Pollard was getting a bell cow workload most of last season, even in the games where Tajay Spears was healthy. So he's one I've been trying to be pretty aggressive on here because I just really like how he's priced.
Yeah, well, let's do it because I'm with you. I was just talking to Chris about this the other day. It's like Pollard projects really well. Spears he's the passing down role. He's going to take some of that, obviously the garbage time stuff. But like you said, I mean, 65, 70% of the carries were still going to Pollard in both their games. And then if Cam Ward's good, then for sure. So the reason I was mentioning receiver there just quickly is because it does die. Like that is a huge tier break. We could double tap running back here. Go with Connor.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Jonnu could do like a Dolphins double, but
we can wait on Jonnu. He projects so well, but I've been taking him a ton in the
you're sorting by rank, not ADP. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, not ADP. Yeah, I'll when we go back on the clock, I'll be back. I'll go on ADP. Yeah, man, I like this team build here. We've got 3 good backs. We are probably going to be taking 3 tight ends late. Just talking through just in terms of how this team is breaking here. We'll probably do a 3 tight end build. We'll see how the quarterbacks break. Maybe maybe do a 3-5, 7-3. I'm more likely to take. We're about to get the schedule here in 4 hours, but I was about to say when we don't have a schedule, I do tend to do a few more 3 quarterback, 3 tight end builds just because I don't want to be, bought out by or caught out by buys. Ryan, I know you and I are all over Underdog. Our subscribers are all over Underdog. But if you are not and you are a new user, make sure that you use our code. Fantasy Points is partnering with Underdog again this season. Use code FANTASYPTS to get yourself a $60 standard subscription just for $5 at Underdog, and they will match your deposit bonus up to $1,000. So get your standard subscription, get your best ball rankings, all your redraft content from us at Fantasy Points, and then deposit on Underdog and try to win millions and millions of dollars here on Underdog. Again, the code is FANTASYPTS. That promo code on Underdog. We're rounding into the 8th round here, Ryan. Big run of receivers after we just double tapped running back, and like I was saying, I mean, look at the receivers in terms of quality in the 6th round of the 7th. Like, it's the Packers guys, Ayuk and Pearsall, and then Debo, former wide receiver 1. Jordan Addison, great 2. Jacoby Myers, underrated 2. Jerry Jeudy was the wide receiver 9 with Jameis Winston last year. Godwin, wide receiver 1. It really, this is a huge tier break. So I do hear you that the running backs in this range I'm 100% back in on Ken Walker, baby. But it is a big tier drop. Those receivers really drop off the board there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, pretty much any draft that I haven't come away from the first 6 rounds with at least 3 wide receivers, I've just hated. And it's for that exact reason. Yeah. I feel like last year you could wait till like round 8, round 9 before you were like, oh, receiver sucks. But yeah, it dries up really quick here.
Yeah, it dries up, and you're picking between the Colts guys. We love Rashid Shaheed. I'm just with you on Jonnu. Like, we're gonna take Jonnu if he gets here. Ryan, you and I were talking about Kelsey a couple weeks ago when we were going through projections. I mean, he project like, look, I know he fell off last year a little bit, but he projects really well, and he's now the cheapest he's been. This whole tight end pocket is going to be a theme, I think, for our strategy. Is going to be these 3 tight end builds this year. There's a lot of this pocket, just all projects relatively well. And we have them relatively ahead of ADP. But we got our Jonnu and Waddle. I know you and I, Ryan, are just big on Josh Downs. Do you want to go for a 4th back here? It'd be Tootin or Tracy.
I think if you click Tootin, you can just have 4 running backs on this build, honestly. Sure. So I'm okay. I'm kind of down with that.
Good call. Yeah, for this team, like, Downs is a fine, wide receiver 5, but I mean, we're pretty set at Higgins, Adams, Metcalf, Waddle. We can kind of cobble together some floor production. Not that Downs doesn't have a ceiling, but I do view him as more of a floor play at this pick. Tootin, all upside. Like, right here, like, I don't even care about the ADP. I'm just with you. Like, we could definitely take 4 and probably obviously we would just take 5. You do not want 6 running backs with this type of build. But yeah, we're in a good spot here to take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends, kind of like I was talking about. Ryan, anybody that's like really stuck out to you in this range? Like, I know it's very early, but is there like any player that's going in this like 9-10 pocket? Because it really is. It feels like the ADP is pretty set in the top 80, but this is kind of where right now it kind of feels like a lot of things are in flux. Is there anybody that sticks out to you?
I have found myself clicking a lot of Rashid Shaheed, just because just amazing best ball receiver, just in general, like kind of the archetype of better in best ball. I forget the exact stat, but I think it's he has more like 15 plus underdog point games over the past 3 seasons than all but like 9 or 10 other receivers or something like that. Yeah, just explosive plays. It's going to be the Kellen Moore offense. They're going to run a ton of plays, even if it's with Tyler Shuck. Like, Shaheed has also kind of just outproduced Chris Olave, or at least out efficiency'd him for each of the last 3 seasons. not really that convinced that Olave's like the wide receiver one there, or that he's any better than Shaheed necessarily. So yeah, that's one that I've found myself like rounding out a lot of receiver rooms. Like if I hate my receivers, I just kind of click Shaheed later and I start feeling a lot better.
Yeah, you and I are sharing a brain right now because I did that last night. I was like, man, these receivers suck. I need a 5 really badly. And I drafted Shaheed in the 90s. His ADP's in 115. I'm with you. Like by XTD, by yards per route run, by basically any efficiency metric last year, Shaheed was better. And I think there's a real case to be made that if he doesn't pop his meniscus, like he ends up as a very, very solid wide receiver too in fantasy last year. The game before he got hurt, they started using him on like intermediate routes, crossing routes. And you think of Rashid Shaheed as this like, break the zone, break the too high, go run clear outs. And if you get open, we'll throw it deep. He is that, but then they started mixing in this intermediate stuff that really would have, he would have he was already smashing ADP, but he would have absolutely crushed it.
Oh yeah, I remember writing some absolutely insane things about Rashid Shaheed whenever that week was. Yeah, like literally right before he got hurt.
Well, we were all saying
I
crazy
was
stuff
excited.
about the Saints, man. They were looking so good, and then literally everybody died. Everybody on that team that mattered died. We're gonna get our shot here. We have to do it. I think Tyrone Tracy's interesting here too, way past ADP. Who are we prioritizing?
Yeah. I think we're prioritizing Shaheed just because we have 4 running backs, but yeah, I'm totally cool with clicking like the value on Tracy here and just taking 5 running backs to the bank.
Yeah. Now this is interesting here. Do you want to do a 3 quarterback build with 2 tight ends, just Njoku and Jonnu? Because Njoku is clearly the top play here.
Yeah. I think that's better, actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. We'll do 3 quarterbacks, probably a 3. And this could be a 3-5-8 too. Yeah, nice. I like that. Man, Njoku is such a good pick right now.
It's really weird. Like all he does is score a bunch of fantasy points, and he's never drafted high like in any offseason. It's very odd to me. Like he does it with all of the terrible QBs that the Browns have cycled through. I think Jameis I want to say David Njoku averaged fewer fantasy points per game with Jameis Winston than in his other games last year, which is the total opposite of every other Browns pass catcher. But
if you look at
it doesn't even matter. He just takes all those targets.
No, that's exactly right. Like if you look at his splits, basically with every quarterback except for Watson, he's like tight end 7 or better. Like basically, they've had every quarterback under the sun, obviously, and they're going to do it again, just the whole stable thing. But Njoku earns targets, gets those end zone looks. They didn't add anything. It's part of the reason we're pretty high on Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy is just, they added Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins, but didn't really do much in the receiver group. They're kind of running the same guys back as last season, and they all project really well. Browns are probably going to be pretty bad. They're going to have to throw quite a bit. I feel like Njoku and maybe even Jeudy and Tillman for sure to a certain extent, like you're not going to be like busting down the door just to draft these guys and redraft. I could certainly see some down weeks with them, but best ball right now, they are way, way too cheap. I love this team, man. This is a really nice team, though. We've got 4 very good running backs. I like how the Tootin call is a great pick. I think that just kind of rounds out this team because now we're in a position just to take 3 late round quarterbacks, maybe fill out some stacks here as well. So we're in a good spot. Chat, any values that you guys have been liking? Throw them in chat. Any team builds that you guys have been playing? Any stacks? Throw them in chat. Would love to hear from you guys this afternoon. We're going to round here into the 12th round, Ryan. And like I said, we will not be taking any more tight ends.
Let's start figuring out what quarterbacks.
I think that's where we're
with these stacks. Yeah,
2 and Stafford are right there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy now, it's always like, are you going to expect rational drafting? But the guy who has Tyreek has Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love. So we can't probably push Tua back to 167. We could wait for Stafford at 167. The Puka guys got.
Is Stafford's ADP near that? For me,
Yeah,
I just don't push it if it's anywhere near ADP, especially on a build like this where it's kind of like we're very exposed with no quarterbacks. All it takes is like one guy timing out to totally ruin us.
yeah. No, you're
Um,
you're right. I think it's one of those like age-old debates of like read the room. In this room, quarterbacks have been going slightly ahead of ADP for the most part, so you're probably right. In a room where quarterback value was a little bit better, I'd be more keen to wait. But yeah, I'm with you. Don't want to get caught out, especially with these stacks. So good call there. We'll probably just double tap both these guys unless there's any receivers here you really feel strongly about.
Yeah, there's no one here that like super speaks to me. I have been trying to get like some Jalen Null. Not that his price is even great, but just with how convicted Brett Whitefield is on him, like can he beat out Christian Kirk? Yeah, I would think and hope so if that's the case. So, but yeah, no, definitely not enough to like be pushing off like our quarterback EV here.
Yeah, sorry, real quick, let me look. Yeah, no, we have to take Stafford here. Yeah, we can't wait. Push even wait on that. But yeah, we'll take one more. That'll be interesting to see who we can get to come back here. Um yeah, man.
Tyler Shuck in like the last round. I've been clicking some of that now with Carr out. He's almost definitely going to start most of the games. Like,
Yeah, no, he's in play for sure on this team. I was thinking about him. Um if this guy gets back to us, would make some sense with Pollard, but I don't think he will. And we could do like a little Titans back stack.
I do like that. Yep.
Um,
That Pollard's like the
yeah,
perfect back to do that with as well because of what we were just talking about, which is like you kind of need Cam Ward to be at least decent for the Pollard bet to pay off. So yeah, you may as well just get that on your team also.
yeah, that's why I didn't understand why people didn't really like taking Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson together last year. It's like it's a bet on the Ravens. You want Henry to score all the touchdowns. You need Lamar to be good. Like, take them both. Do it again. I'm doing it again this year.
Yeah,
I think I kind of overthought it with Hurts and Saquon, although there was definitely some like eating into each other. Dude, I was looking at this a couple weeks ago. I think Saquon actually kind of ran cold with touchdowns, not even talking about the push. Like, you look at his volume inside the 5 or inside the 10. He had over 20 carries inside the 5, but like I think only 6 or 7 touchdowns on those carries. And among the guys who had 20 or more carries inside the 10, like all of them scored 10 or more touchdowns. There's a definite case to be made that like Barkley probably ran cold. I do think maybe in some larger field tournaments for week 17, you are certainly capping a little bit of your upside by stacking quarterbacks and receivers. Just in theory, it's very hard to score 5 touchdowns in a game. It's very, very hard to do that. But I think there's a lot of times where we think something is negatively correlated, but it's really, you're just making a bet on offense and best ball. I
yeah.
think that's really what this comes down to.
Yeah, fully with you there. Yeah, from a full season perspective, you definitely want quarterback and running back together. And yeah, I mean, there were even a lot of weeks in DFS last week or last year where Lamar and Henry were both in the optimal. Like
Yep.
it's not like it can't happen if it's just this beat down offense. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm totally with you. I care way less about it than I did a year ago. Like I'm actively happy to stack running back and quarterback.
What did it for me was Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. Like a couple of years ago, like they just kept going off together every single week, and I was like, my brain like can't understand why this is happening. But it's like, if you have a generational running back and a great offense. All right, so we're back up. Obviously, not taking a tight end. We're kind of got caught out on Cam Ward, just a few picks away. Receivers here, past ADP. Not great. Xavier, Leggett, we good.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have no takes on wide receivers after like round
Yeah,
12 right now because it's just there's so many there's so many like camp competitions that are probably gonna radically shift where all of these guys are getting drafted, especially the rookies. I'm always a little like I'm always scared to like draft kind of like the marginal like day 2, day 3 rookies this early in the offseason too. I think those guys generally get kind of pushed up and overvalued.
Same.
Tutu Atwell is one guy I've been taking a lot late. Just you scrolled way by him, but yeah, he's like
Yeah.
anytime Cup hasn't played, Atwell has been pretty productive. We definitely don't have to take him right now. But
Yeah, no, we're going to take him last though. I'm going to take Wandale. It's super boring, but guys, these picks, like late round picks, I know you're never excited to click Wandale, but like in best ball, those games where he has the 5 catch for 50 yards, they do matter. Giants obviously didn't add much of anything at receiver. It's just Neighbors, Slayton Robinson, and Theo Johnson. So I do think Wandale is this is like the first time I'm actually excited to click his name because he projects reasonably well. And he's, like you said, round 14 and on, these receivers, you're kind of just telling yourself a story. Wandale at least has a floor. I loved your Shuck call. We're gonna definitely take him. Yeah, and I think you can do that now. We updated projections. We got Shuck in there, I think, for 14 games, Ryan. That feels about right. Like obviously that has downside. Like if he sucks, he's not going to be out there late in the season when it matters. But I mean, he could absolutely start all 17 games on this terrible Saints team. I think this is a good discussion point as we're wrapping this draft up. Like quarterback is dead after Darnold goes. I mean, that's it. Like, so get your stacks early right now because the quarterbacks have been pushed up a little bit. We were talking about Penix maybe being a little overvalued strictly due to stacking, but there is some merit to that where it's like, that's it. Like after Darnold right now, like I don't want to be picking between Anthony Richardson. I mean, Jackson Dart with Neighbors makes a ton of sense. Beyond that, man, I mean, it is very, very thin at quarterback. So thank you for talking me back into overdrafting. Well, not overdrafting, but taking Stafford at 146 there. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, we probably could have taken Ward there. I'll be honest, I totally forgot we had Pollard. So maybe going Ward, Stafford, in sequence
Stafford
would have been
Adams.
better. But
Stafford Adams. Yeah, way better
no,
offense.
it's hard to say no to. Yeah,
way better offense. Like this is super boring, Tua and Stafford, but like, I mean, we've got a really good floor. Cam Ward, say what you want, but like that offense right now, like I don't think the floor is super, super high with that team. Offensive line is much better, but yeah, I mean, early drafts right now, quarterback is just completely dead.
Yeah. I do have, I guess, like one late quarterback take other than Shuck. Obviously, this is only for like the large field stuff, and only like as your third quarterback if you're just trying to add upside. But I kind of like Daniel Jones as like a guy no one's clicking. Like he coming off of the ACL last year, he was still getting a bunch of design rushing work. His scrambling all kind of went away, but 2 years removed from the ACL, that can come back. Like we kind of get the vibe that everyone in the Colts locker room hates Anthony Richardson and doesn't want him to start games. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Jones closes like in like the 13th or 14th round, or especially if he does get announced as the week 1 starter. But yeah, at some point he's going to play games. I don't know, these Colts receivers will all project better with Daniel Jones as well. So it's kind of an angle I think about a lot.
Yeah. Real quick, what do you think about Jalen Wright with our Miami stack? Like that, I think. And we'll take.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't think anybody's going to be taking Tutu, so we can take Shuck next, just so we don't get caught out on that third quarterback. Yeah, nice. Okay, we'll do that. I think we can do that. Shuck here?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, yeah, we'll take that. All right, on your Colts discussion, did you see or hear what Michael Pittman and Josh Downs said about AR? Michael Pittman was like, yeah, bro, I was just working out with Daniel Jones. Like, it's going to be a competition, but like, I haven't worked out with AR yet. Like, Downs was basically saying, yeah, it's a competition. We'll see how it goes. Like, they're kind of telling you, like, it's not going to be AR. I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, and I watched this exact video today because I was writing a Daniel Jones blurb, but yeah, the exact words out of Pittman's mouth were, yeah, like it's tough for everybody, but we all kind of know what's happening here in terms of
Ooh.
the quarterback competition. Like, yeah, and that was right after he said that he'd worked out with Jones and not
Oh, dude,
AR after they asked him specifically. Yeah, it's
that's
pretty
rough.
rough for
That's
AR.
rough for AR. And look, I mean, I loved AR last year. I think everybody kind of saw the ceiling, obviously, saw the ceiling case for him. But throwing accurate footballs matters, Ryan. It really, really matters. This was a huge, AR is a huge lesson learned for me that, like, yeah, not every freak show quarterback can kind of, obviously turn it around. The accuracy in college still really, really matters. Adam, we got a comment here. What players are your targets in the later rounds? Ryan and I are going to be spending basically the next month figuring all that out and coming up with some articles and players and values to target. One guy we were just talking about, David Njoku. This ADP makes no sense to me, and I think Njoku might be. We'll see if this sticks. He'll probably end up being one of my top values this season. 129 is an absurd ADP. I know they brought in Harold Fannin, but like he's a rookie. Njoku's very, very good. We were just talking about Rashid Shaheed, top value for sure. Adam, Ryan, any other names stand out? I know you're in on those two.
Yeah, in on both of those for sure. I guess for like some really, really late guys, like at the running back position, I think Rashad White is probably going too late right now because he's a guy that we know if there's an injury to undersized Bucky Irving, like he just steps in and he's an RB1 and he can play the entire, like he can play all three downs, kind of get most of it. I don't think Sean Tucker's actually that big of a threat in that scenario. So he's kind of an interesting one. Let's see who else. Yeah, I don't know. If you scroll through ADP or something for me, then that it'll
Sorry. Yeah.
jog my memory a little bit, probably on some guys.
Yeah.
I will say Jarquez Hunter is pretty interesting to me, and Blake Corum. I don't have like a super huge preference between them, but just like with kind of what McVay has been saying this offseason about how he was like basically really impressed with Liam Cohn and how he was able to like teach the offense to multiple running backs and like have multiple guys like immediately working in the system. That just gave me vibes that he kind of blamed himself for not getting Cora more involved last year. So that plus the Hunter pick, both of whom I think are at least as good or superior backs to Kyron Williams. They're guys I want to click, especially because they're so cheap compared to like last year when you had to click Corum in like round 9.
Yeah, the Corum ADP was really silly last year. We were way out on Corum. It's obviously concerning that he didn't do anything to get on the field. Obviously, didn't earn McVay's trust, and then they just drafted Jarquez Hunter. Relatively similar draft capital. That's a huge camp battle. One more for you, Adam. I was just talking to Theo about this morning. I like Isaiah Davis late. I don't even know if he got drafted. He didn't. But Isaiah Davis might be better than Braylon Allen, and he's not going drafted right now. Davis has the pass catching ability that Braylon Allen doesn't. So if anything were to happen to Brees, I think it'll be at worst like a 1A, 1B committee. And again, this dude is literally not even being drafted, and he could be the sole handcuff to Brees at some point this season. A little bit of opposite ends of spectrum there of the late round values, Adam, but hopefully that helps you out a little bit. And hopefully we helped out some people ripping through this draft. Ryan, we got done in like 40 minutes. 3-5-8-2 build. Dude, that toot and claw was money because it did free us up basically to do what we needed to do in terms of the quarterback and tight end build. Like this quite a bit, man.
Yeah, no, I love it. I have loved most teams that I draft with Tootin on them. This is probably
it's hard not to, man.
Biggest motivator for doing like the early best ball volume for me right now. It is actually it's Tootin's ADP and Ken Walker's ADP. I don't think either of those are gonna last probably, but yeah, I'm really happy with where they're at.
So this is where I think Tootin should be going. He should be going with Caleb Johnson in the 70s at worst, because I mean, we've now seen the Jags like draft Etienne's replacement twice in the last 3 years. This is a new GM, new coach. Yeah, I don't know if they trade Etienne. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but like, it seems to me that they want Tootin to kind of be the early down goal line guy. And if that's the case on this offense, like he's at worst, like a very solid flex. We'll see what happens with Etienne. I don't imagine he'll have much of a market, but I think this is going to continue to be an edge. Like the Tootin leading the Jags backfield thing right now, Ryan, is not a common take in the best ball streets.
For sure, yeah. But no, it makes so much sense to me. Yeah, and I think right now the industry is kind of maybe a little brain poisoned on it's a day 3 running back, which yes, it's a day 3 running back, but this is a really deep running back class. Like I think every team kind of knew that they could probably get a guy they would like early day 3. Tootin and Caleb Johnson were drafted like 15 picks apart or something like that. So yeah, the draft capital, not that different. The competition compared to on the Steelers, I would argue, is much worse. So makes that really, great call on that he should just be going where Caleb Johnson is probably.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, man, where we can't. Draft capital is like definitely the biggest predictor, like in terms of just like if you want to have like an easy button, hey, what correlates to early career production the most that I can just kind of rattle through, it's definitely draft capital, especially at running back. But like you said, man, I mean, day 3 is not great, but if you're going early day 3 like Bucky Irving did last year, you're definitely going to have a shot. I think some of these guys that go round 6 and 7, those are the guys that kind of get buried and might even be behind some UDFAs if they get started slow. Ryan, great first stream, man. We will be back every single Wednesday at this time, 4 p.m. Eastern, to rip some underdog drafts. Hopefully win you, ourselves, subs, everybody lots of money. For Ryan, we are going to be at the top of the puppy leaderboards, the first puppy with this team, and we hope to see you at the top as well. Good luck in all your drafts, everybody.
What? Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.